Yeah.
As this
You all
period
don't mind,
expand.
I could very quickly interject. I'm actually very familiar with Fukuyama's notion just because his concepts were put in the foreword of the introduction of Capitalism Realism by Mark Fisher. And
Oh,
as
Mark
much,
Fisher, wow.
yeah, as
Yeah.
much as I don't, um, fully agree with those concepts, I don't think they're incompatible with Evola's thought because other than the fact that they are semi on opposite sides of the philosophical and political spectrum, the notion that the world ended around 9/11 or the passing into the 21st century with liberal capitalism being instilled everywhere and all possible historical events already happening and becoming highlighted through forms of mass media, I think that's a very like I need to find the word, anti-materialist notion. There we go. That's what I was going for. The idea that everything that could happen in the course of human progress towards liberal democracy, whether liberal democracy is something that we are for or in our case against, um, like that's the idea that maybe for some people of overall stagnation, for some people of growth, right? So if you're a pro-liberal democracy, you would think that we have accelerated towards this point and this is the final ultimatum of history. Whereas if you're against liberal democracy, like Evola would seem to be, and indeed was, you arrive at this point where you think to yourself, okay, well, we have officially entered the dark age because we have descended so far towards
That's true.
materialism,
Yeah.
as Fukuyama points out, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's actually a good point. With liberal hegemony being so entrenched, true, that would fit in with the Evolan conception of the Dark Age.
Yeah,
The
so
Kali
I
Yuga,
found a way
absolutely.
to integrate the two. I think if
And it's
Evola, if a thinker like Evola was alive today, he would probably come to a similar conclusion that Fukuyama did, that the world has like come to a grinding halt, where no significant events are made anymore because everything seems to be in a sort of standstill. We are at a post-Cold War period that is numb. The political, the geopolitical landscape is numb. That's all there is to it.
I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned Mark Fisher because he actually has had a big influence on me as well, especially his book Capitalist Realism, but also his writings on music and cultural criticism and subjects like that. And I generally see him classified as a Marxist, right? I mean, I think he's considered himself to be a Marxist, which on its face that shouldn't really be compatible with Evola's thought, but I actually do see I see a certain level of compatibility though, especially in the which you mentioned with this concept of the Kali Yuga, but also in his criticism that he offers of capitalism in that book, Capitalist Realism, and specifically its effects on culture. I mean, because what he says is that it's sort of leading to this cultural stagnation,
Yeah, that's
right?
the funny thing, though. The far right
There's
and the
not
far left, the philosophical far right and far left,
Third,
the extremist factions seem to share an overall hatred of materialism. They just express it in completely different ways.